and welcome back to another episode of Mystery Read Reads. This is my disclaimer. This beta read in concrete is at the author's request. This video is for learning purposes. Today we're doing a beta read in concrete of some original fiction. We are looking at Infinite Shades for Crystal Committee, and today we're looking at Chapter 5. I have done reads for chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I will include links to those reads in the description, as well as a link to this archive of our own document where you can read Infinite Shades anytime you want. So that's where we're at. That's what we're going to do, and we are actually going to dive right in here. I had been giving summaries, but now I'm on like chapter 5 of this story, and really it would be a long summary. So if you want to know what's going on, I'm going to read the little summary up here, which is probably more of a summary of what's going on right now in the story, not so much where we began. But it's been quite a long journey, and we're only on chapter 5. Oh my goodness. Okay, so much has happened. So much happens in a chapter. With Crystal Committee. So what I'm going to do is refer you guys back to the first 4 videos so that you're in the know. I will say that I think in my chapter 4 one, I think I did give a little bit of a synopsis. Yeah, which might bring you up to speed, but I'd recommend watching from the beginning. Or you can just dive in and read, and then you'll already know what's going on if you go into the archive of our own and read the document yourself. So, all that said, we are going to look today at chapter 5. Let's see, it's titled Pebbles, Breadcrumbs, House of Nummy, Hansel and Gretel. Oh, this has Sam vibes, big time. Okay, summary. We have now jumped to modern times, which when I originally wrote this was around 2011-ish, but it's 2024. We get some dirt about Amanda and Garrett and some sand on Sam. All right, let's see. I apologize in advance. This was originally chapters 1, 3, and 5. It was 14,000 words long. It got trimmed. It got adjusted in the reorganization, and it's the best bridge to get from past Avalanche stuff and to where the majority of the story happens. I mean, gosh, we've had a lot happen already. Wow. Okay. Check that out. Amanda is alive, and she is, we're going to say cranky in lieu of these lovely words that I personally do not have a problem with and use quite frequently, but you know, YouTube frowns on it, so hey. But yet not. How that happens, I'm leaving that to your imagination with a lot of hints, but I am not cruel. I drop breadcrumbs. See what I did there? I'm not used to naming chapters, so I'm enjoying it. Got some ideas? Shoot me a message or a comment. I'm still working on summarizing this beast of a work. I don't even like the title, but after 7 years, it's still around and works. Update, August 9th, 2024. I made another edit run after some feedback, took out a few words that were unnecessary or irritated me. Okay. Why am I getting messages? Okay. Let's see. Let's see if I ignore the message if it'll stop. Hang on. Okay, here we go. Chapter 5. The sun's warm glow casts an emerald light over the spacious loft apartment. A fern-like plant curtains the floor-to-ceiling windows. The lower wall space is filled with tiered rows of plants. My mind is distracted by all the information I took in up here. That is a lot of rewriting and revision, and I kind of was in the know about it privately between conversations between me and Crystal Committee, but I have such a hard time grasping reworking and moving things around. It's very overwhelming to do that. As someone who is currently kind of doing something very similar to this right now, it can be so overwhelming. And so I just want to empathize. I just want to empathize for a minute. And I'm going to try to refocus my mind. And here we go again. So let's see. The sun's warm glow casts an emerald light over the spacious loft apartment. A fern-like plant curtains the floor-to-ceiling windows. The lower wall space is filled with tiered rows of plants. Sturdy stalks loaded with leaves stand tall in planter boxes overgrown with luscious life in every corner. Potted flowers in full bloom hang from the ceiling, their tendrils intertwined like carefully laid cables. The walls are adorned with large and small pencil drawings of historical events, framed and behind glass as if held in high esteem and precious to their owner. There are 2 beds, one made up to perfection, while the other is in total disarray. Amanda, a sizable deep scar from the top of her left eye down her cheek, sits in a high-back chair at the focal point of a curving array of monitors, tiled 3 rows tall by 6 across. The extending desk is piled with electronic devices in various states of assembly. She is focused on a video conference on the monitor directly in front of her. The other screens display documents and CCTV feeds of the surrounding blocks and buildings, with a box beneath each scrolling informational text. A message rises from the bottom of the screen. Amanda's eyes divert towards it. The monitor above her enlarges the feed showing Garrett getting out of a car in the parking garage. He coddles a potted plant as he opens the car door. The video zooms in on the seedling as information displays about its species origin. "Vicky, I've got the pictures and your notes. I'll look at them and email you my thoughts tonight," Amanda says. "That works. In the meantime, I'll get them packaged up and ready for the courier." Later, Amanda cuts the connection. The screen shows the flower Garrett purchased with 3 question marks blinking in bright red, requesting quarantine. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm just reading, and it's reading great, but I'm having so many thoughts right now. I'm like, okay, so we're in the, I've got to stop. It's reading great, but I'm just going to hang on. I have to, okay, I got to stop for a second because my brain is working. No, please hold my little highlight for me. Thank you so much. Okay. So I'm having all these thoughts as I'm reading, and I've got this fantastic visual, and it's reading beautifully, and I'm just, okay, so we're in the future, right? We're in the future now. We've now jumped to modern times. So yeah, okay. So everything we've read up to now was in the past, leading up to this opening scene. And I'm just, okay, so Amanda's got a huge scar on her face, but it sounds like she's back in her own body. Okay, obviously it's describing her face and being messed up, and she's watching Garrett. She's got all these plants, and I'm just really curious. And part of me is almost like, okay, we still don't know so much about Amanda's past and honestly Sam's past. And so all that's kind of toying in the back of my mind, and I'm kind of excited to find out more about those things and about what's happened since we left, since we left them in chapter 4, since we left them where Amanda was like a empty body and her mind was in Sam's head. And so there's so many gaps to be filled in. And I'm just like, okay, I'm also kind of wondering if there could potentially be like a romance between Amanda and Garrett. I'm a little excited. Nothing has happened. That has not been hinted at in any way, shape, or form. But it just kind of like these are all my kind of reader thoughts and musings that are popping up between the first line up there all the way down to here. So nothing has happened, but these are all the things that are rolling through my mind, and so I'm kind of excited. Okay, I'm going to try to stay on task here. Okay, here we go. The screen shows the flower Garrett purchased with 3 question marks blinking in bright red, requesting quarantine. She selects yes and works on the keyboard. The monitors go blank except for the main one. She clicks on an empty space on the desktop and types with no sign of her entry until a single box appears with a small time indicator moving from beginning to end before secured displays. Okay, was that a little bit long? Okay. So it reads okay. It's making sense. It's working. But it seemed a little bit long. Like I kind of wanted a breath. And there might have been a couple long ones above, and maybe I just didn't. And I kind of noticed, but it didn't bother me. Like it didn't stop me or my flow. I don't know if I'm just excited, and maybe that's why. Let's just try this one more time. Let's see. She clicks on an empty space on the desktop and types with no sign of her entry until a single box appears with a small time indicator moving from beginning to end before secured displays. Okay, so it reads fine. It's a little long. I'm just going to note that it's a little long, and Crystal Committee can look at it and figure out what she wants to do with it. If anything, it reads just fine. I'm just noting that it's a little bit long, and we're going to keep going. Amanda takes off her glasses and holds them up. A rendered image of her apartment appears. A box focuses on the desk with the glasses atop a blank yellow legal pad. She looks around, finds the pad at the end of the counter, places it where it is in the image, and sets the glasses to match. Scribbles in pencil become the focus. Okay, I'm reading this and now I know what it is. I had to stop for a second because at first it sounded like it was out of context or an incomplete sentence. That was my first two impressions, but my third impression is the one I think you were going for. And just because it broke my flow, I kind of want to look at it for just a second. I get it. Scribbles in pencil become the focus. Okay, so she looks around, finds the pad at the end of the counter, places it where it is in the image, and sets the glasses to match. Okay. Scribbles in pencil become the focus. So literally, I'm interpreting it as the scribbles that are on the pad have garnered her attention. Okay, so that's what I think we're going for, is basically that's become her focus. That's what she's now looking at. I keep wanting to say scribbles in pencil come into focus, but I don't think that's, I guess that would still put her attention on it. But I get what you're saying. And then there's the whole overlying thing of it felt like those first two reactions I had broke this lovely flow you've had going on. So I'm kind of, it works. Well, okay, let's just reread it for a second. Let's just reread it, because maybe it should be scribbles in pencil come into focus. Maybe I'm not reading it right. Let's just, for a second. Amanda takes off her glasses and holds them up. A rendered image of the apartment appears. A box focuses on the desk with the glasses atop a blank yellow legal pad. She looks around, finds the pad at the end of the counter, places it where it is in the image, and sets the glasses to match. Scribbles in pencil come into focus. I think that works better. I think it flows a little better. That's going to be my suggestion, and we're going to keep going. I am going to also note that you have focus coming up here twice in the same paragraph. So I'm just going to put that before you to think about, and we're going to keep going. She rolls her eyes as she opens the drawer, takes the mechanical pencil, and copies the text as it is displayed. The image zooms out and places a highlighted box around the energy drink can beside the keyboard, an arrow showing it crushed and lying in the garbage. This is weird. So she's like being prompted to do these little tasks, and they seem odd. Unless she's just trying to see if her equipment is working, and I don't know. I'm very curious as to what's going on. Amanda leans back in her chair. Future reference, let's not be creating a physical record, she quips as she taps the legal pad. No matter how benign. Updating parameters, a female voice sounds in the room as a window opens on the screen, scrolls a large volume of text, then disappears. Who says you can't learn? She reaches for the crutches. Take it live. Work towards a delay of a couple of minutes. He's not here randomly. Anything out of the ordinary, holding cue. Amanda turns the chair, revealing her left leg encased in a rigid brace with a supporting apparatus on her thigh. She pulls herself up onto the crutches, but halts, taking staccato breaths, her eyes scrunching closed, bearing against the pain. Okay, this one, it reads fine. I'm just wondering if we have too many things, and if it could be more effective or just as effective and maybe read smoother. I mean, it read fine, but at the same time, I feel like we were stacking. Let's see. She pulls herself up onto the crutches, but halts, taking staccato breaths, her eyes scrunching closed, bearing against the pain. It might be too many. I don't know. I kind of want it to be less things. One or two of the things. let's see. She pulls herself up onto crutches, but halts. I almost would just say sucking in a breath. I think that in this instance, we've done a little bit too much, and I would just go for something smaller, like pick 1 or 2 max, as just the fact that she's on crutches, her legs in a brace. I'm expecting pain. So we don't actually have to do a whole lot to describe that or what we, the action and around it. We just note it and then we keep going. But I'm also still wondering what all is happening back here. And I'm kind of wondering, I kind of thought that Garrett was like, she was watching Garrett on a camera and that he was going to come inside. But now it almost feels like she's just spying on Garrett. So I'm kind of wondering if he's coming in. I'm just kind of wondering what's happening here, I think. Complying, are you in need of assistance? I'm going to pause for a second. I'm also wondering who the person is that she's talking to. So we got a female voice here. She, I'm assuming, was Amanda in this case. If I got that right, then you're fine. Let's see. We're going to keep going. Complying. Are you in need of assistance? I've got it, Amanda explodes. He can't know of your existence, nor the current status of my health. Understood? We understand. Good. Monitor the streams for anomalies. I'm going to note that there's no dialogue tags. We've had multiple lines without it. Let's see. Complying, are you in need of assistance? I get it. It's the voice talking to her. And then we have a tag for Amanda. And then the voice is responding again. As the voice is not in the room, I feel like it's okay. It works for me. Good. Monitor the streams for anomalies. I would almost give Amanda a task, and it could probably, I would suggest her doing something before she responds to this person. Like not an after task, but like a prerequisite. Like she's actively doing something while she's saying this answer to this person. Just kind of mixing it up a little bit. Oh, you know what? This might have even worked up there. Like you could have probably put this text maybe after this or even before this, or like moved them together, and that would have done exactly what I'm asking you for and also implied that it was Amanda speaking. Let's see. Let's just play with this for 1 second. I've got it, Amanda explodes. He can't know of your existence nor the current status of my health. Understood? We understand. Good. Monitor the streams for anomalies. She reaches for her glasses, wipes them with the bottom of her t-shirt, puts them on, and prepares for what is coming. With concern in its modulation, your blood pressure is... Okay. So the voice almost seems... Let's see. It almost seems like it could be like an AI, but... And I say that based on the words of modulation. I kind of half wonder if it's Sam, but we don't know who the voice is on the other end. Yeah, so I'm thinking when I see modulation, I think AI. Okay, we're going to keep going and see what happens, but those are some of the thoughts going on in my head. With concern in its modulation, your blood pressure is... She hisses through gritted teeth. I'm also wondering if this quotation mark is facing the wrong way. Anyway, she hisses through gritted teeth. This is important. Do what you can, but I need to see this through for Sam. Do you understand? Okay, so it's clearly not Sam she's talking to. But I don't know. The word modulation made me think, I guess more, it just made me think computers. It made me think that it could have been an AI. Now I'm just wondering who it is. Okay, anyway, gotta focus. All right. Do you understand? Yes. Thank you. We find error. With me saying thank you? Yeah, I get that. You deserve it. Override Severin. Amend to etiquette responses. Okay, it isn't accepted. I believe it's an AI. I think she's speaking with an AI. Okay, so there's no dialogue tags on those. We know it's between them. And the voice is distinct in the AI. I'm assuming it's an AI. I could be wrong. But at this point, it's kind of been supported that, and the way that it's speaking seems to lean to being an AI. So we're going to kind of work with that as a presumption at this point. I'm a little... Okay, so we have no dialogue tags, but the way that it speaks is pretty formal. It's very it's very just detached, I guess. Matter of fact. I don't know. I'm up in the air as to whether, I mean, obviously you're not going to have an action tag for an AI she's speaking to. Um, and we've had her moving. We've kind of had her doing these actions as she's having this conversation. I don't know. I'm just going to note that there's a lot of lines here with no dialogue tags, which I wouldn't suggest just with voices. I mean, this is fine, but I just wouldn't, if you do decide to put some in there, I wouldn't suggest solely using those. I would probably continue having her move papers around, whatever. She could be doing anything because she's in kind of an office type vibe is what I'm getting. I've got so many interruptions today. Okay. Accepted. Thank you, she repeats. It responds, you're welcome. Okay. Etiquette responses. I wonder what it means by that. Amend to etiquette responses. I'm just musing all kinds of different things. Okay. Her movements to the kitchen are slow at first, then migrate into a fluid progression of strength. She tugs open the cupboard as if performing a routine ritual. A single tube of crackers, a couple of unopened cereal boxes, and a handful of canned soups are all that are present. Closing the doors, she moves to the fridge, opens it, and scans the contents. Bottled water, a row of energy drinks, and 2 6-packs of bottled beer. She takes a beer, pops the top, and slides it onto the counter. Opening the freezer, she finds organized stacks of frozen TV dinners. She is debating the options when there's a knock on the door. Take out it is, she mumbles under her breath. Yeah, be there in a sec. Looking through the peephole, she pulls back and pauses as if deciding whether to answer. She unlocks the deadbolt, turns the knob, opens the door, and leans against it. Assistant Director in charge Garrett, she states. Special agent in charge, he amends. That's right, the Seattle office came with the demotion. So what do I owe the displeasure of your visit? Sam here? Amanda gives a half roll of her eyes. No, but you knew that. Beer? I'm off the clock, so I'll take one if you're offering. They're in the fridge. She looks at it while giving him space to enter. I'm pausing. Okay, so it's reading well. We've got these actions. You're showing me the visuals. I have no internalization. I'm going to mark my little spot. Let me go back and look for a second and see if I muse any of the potential places where you might tuck some internalization. So far, I hadn't really had any thoughts as to what is going on in Amanda's head because she's been moving. So a lot of times when we have action, for example, you're setting up your scene by showing us the layout. You got the kind of feel that Amanda's been hard at work at whatever this is for a good while because, she's got bare minimum, kind of like having snacks on hand. You know what I'm saying? You've painted the visual of her having been at whatever this is for a while, and she's trying to get to the bottom of it. So I've got that feel to it. If that's the feel you intended, I have that. I can kind of visualize her in kind of a lab office kind of setting, and she's just, she's got the essentials in there, and she's hard at work, and she's just keeps going back at it. I'm glad Garrett came to the door because now we're going to have a conversation between them where I might have more internalization prompts to give now that she's having an interaction with a person, not a computer. I think up to this point you've been showing me everything, so I don't know. When you have action, you don't tend to internalize too terrible much. If you do, it'd be a brief, fleeting thought. I may want to look up one of my action scenes and kind of show that, maybe just a paragraph or two so that I'm not on and on about something I wrote. But like, for an example, so what I'm saying is it kind of works to not have too much terrible internalization here because she's doing something and you're setting up your scene. And so now that we're going to dive into this conversation with Garrett is probably where I'm going to start looking for some internal thoughts from her. Because a lot of times when we have a conversation with someone, we have some thoughts that we don't, that we muse over, and we decide actively whether or not we're going to say them out loud or how we're going to say them before we speak them. Ideally, anyway, that's what we're always teaching children, right? Okay. So now that we're getting ready to enter this conversation, we're going to see if there's opportunities for internal dialogue. I hadn't really, it popped up as a thought. I think I started having that thought right around here is when I started going, we're setting the scene still. We've got the display of what's in the fridge. And I'm kind of like, okay, I've got a very clear visual, but I'm wondering what Amanda's thinking about. And she's debating her food options here, but she's not thinking about whatever it is that she's looking for, not the food wise, but like, sometimes you're doing something, but you're thinking about whatever it is that the problem is you're trying to work through, and you're musing it over in your mind. Those kind of thoughts could be interjected, especially someplace like this paragraph. It's an opportunity to tuck them in here and there. It can also especially be used if you're having a build up to a culmination. I don't really see that happening right here, but I'm just vocalizing another opportunity where I frequently interject internal thoughts. I'm going to give, oh my gosh, I'm going to give you another example. So that broke my thought because it scared me, or startled me. When I'm got a problem that I'm trying to figure out what to do about, in my head, I may be musing over my feelings while my subconscious is musing over the problem. And while doing both of those things, I'm sweeping the floor. Just to give you an example of what I'm trying to talk about. Okay, we're trying to explain. So that when you are writing something like this, like she's actively moving around here, when she's moving around, what are her thoughts? What is it that is the pressing issue she is toiling over? And like I just described, I'm really looking for a solution to my problem, but I'm actually sorting out my feelings consciously while my subconscious is hard at work at the problem, and physically I'm doing an action. So there you go. That's kind of the formula you can kind of interject in places if it's suitable. You know what her thoughts were here. I do not, because I don't know what her problem is at the moment. I know it has something to do with Sam, and she's trying to figure something out. Let's see. We're going to keep going. So she's decided on takeout. Garrett's now entered the chat. Let's look for opportunities for internal thoughts along the way. So, all right. She's greeted him. I like this exchange between the two of them where it's kind of like almost, I don't know, there's something there. I wonder what, okay, so she says assistant director in charge, Garrett. I wonder what she thinks right here when she looks at him. What does he look like, and what does she think of him? I would like to know what Amanda thinks of him. Special agent in charge, he amends. That's right, the Seattle office came with a demotion. So what do I owe the displeasure of your visit? Let's see. Sam here. I kind of want to know what his facial expression is here, because she's going to be trying to read his facial expression to gauge him. So we're kind of dependent on that too, since we're in her point of view. So yeah, right here, I'd like to know what he's kind of looking. What's his face look like? What is it telling us? What is his body language going to do? We don't have to give it all. Just one of the two. Pick it and tuck it right there. That's right, the Seattle office. Okay, so I like that. Amanda gives a half roll of her eyes. No, but you knew that. Beer. I'm off the clock, so I'll take one if you're offering. Maybe, does he grin at this? Is he got an attitude? Is he cocky? What is Garrett here in this particular scene? In this moment, they're in the fridge. She looks at it while giving him space to enter. I almost feel like this is like almost her slapping her thigh, being like, like you drop your hand. I can see her opening the door, stepping back, and just kind of letting her hand kind of fall as she kind of motions toward the fridge, like, help yourself. I feel like a tension between them. It's almost like an attitude. What if I were here to speak to you? Garrett asks as Amanda tips the door closed and relocks the deadbolt. No. Your skepticism is noted. You did let me in. It's also Sam's apartment. I'm being a nice roommate. I'm going to pause. Okay, okay. I I guess I need internalization in this dialogue. It can be brief. I just kind of want to know what's going on in Amanda's mind. What is she thinking about? It doesn't even have to give it all away. I just need to know what she's thinking. And I kind of want a dialogue tag here or there just to be very clear who's talking. I mean, I'm assuming it's Garrett, Amanda, but that's just by deduction. And the actions do not all have to be after the dialogue. You can mix it up a little bit and put a couple in front here and there. Not every single one has to have it. When she says no, I don't know that I felt like it was skeptical. I don't know if he was just deciding to mark it up to being skeptic. I'm not sure. Okay, we're going to keep going. It's also Sam's apartment. I'm being a nice roommate. Yet you offer a beer, including an invitation to get it myself. His eyes scan for a place to set the pot. I did. That for Sam or me? She asks of the plant. I kind of want to. Okay, so right here, okay, so he's scanning for a place to put the pot. I kind of wonder what I can kind of envision her kind of like looking at the plant, and I'm wondering what she thinks about it. I'm wondering if she wants the plant, if she's resentful. Like, how does she feel about it? Is she like, oh my God, another plant, another thing to take care of? Or is she like happy? Or is she kind of like hopeful that it's for her? I'm just kind of wondering those things. Okay, let's see. I did. That for Sam or me? She asks of the plant. Sam, she mentioned once they were her favorite. He sets it on the counter, turning it for a better appearance. Turning it for a better appearance. I gotta think about that for a second. He sets it on the counter, turning it for a better appearance. A better look? A better look? Oh, or positioning it. Positioning it for the best view or the best, I don't know. He sets it on the counter, turning it to its best side, or to face the best side. I guess that could be a number of different ways. There's nothing wrong with the way you have it. I think I didn't want this it there. I wonder what kind of plant it is. Did we say that? If you I'm not sure if you did, but there was a lot of mentioning. I feel like there was mentioning of other plants too. So I was kind of like, and I was kind of paying attention to Amanda and Garrett, and not so much the plant. I like the use of it though, even if it's just to give them movement. I mean, it could play a part in this. You know, there could be a thing going on with the plants because there's more than one. I might suggest. I wonder if Amanda knows what kind of plant it is. And if she does, like those can be internal thoughts if she knows what kind of plant it is. And then when you write here, one of them could be the name of the plant species specifically. And that way you're also giving a visual of the plant at the same time. So there's a couple benefits to going ahead and identifying it if you're going to continue to use it for like a little prop there. We're going to keep going. He opens the fridge and frees a beer. I'm contemplating that right there. He opens the fridge and grabs a beer. I would just go ahead and say grabs a beer. He opens the fridge and grabs a beer. Amanda picks up hers and leans against the island, attempting to hide a spasm in her leg. Garrett notices and meets her eyes, posing the question. Nothing you can do. Her fingers caress the leaves of the plant. Are you sure Sam mentioned it? Garrett flips the top off the bottle and leans against the opposite counter. He raises his eyebrows, hinting for her to elaborate. Either you're not sure where you obtained the information, or you're curious why I inquired. If it's both, he probes. I feel like there's two conversations going on in here. There's like something unspoken going on between them, like an exchange. And I'm curious, this seems out of context. So, okay, we're going to keep going. If it's both, he probes. Amanda holds up the bottle in a salute. I'll take care of it. Find something more appropriate and put your name on it. More appropriate? I want a facial expression here. I kind of want to see or some kind of head tilt or move, like some kind of body movement to kind of support whatever tone of voice that you imagine him speaking in without saying his voice sounded like. Instead, you can show me with this body language what his attitude is when he says more appropriate. Like it sounds like a question to me, but I'm kind of envisioning a facial expression that belies that, if that makes sense. Something more fitting as an excuse to come to the door. I need an excuse. Yes. Are they flirting? I'm like, what is going on here? There is something. What is this? What is it? Oh, okay. Something more fitting as an excuse to come to the door. And she could use an action. If she's flirting, her body language could show that. If she's hesitant to discuss something, which she doesn't seem, she seems pretty direct. So I don't know. Something to show here, or an internal thought, or something. I need something here. I need an excuse, he asks. For Sam? No. Knowing I'd be the only one here, she leaves the hint open. The hint. Okay. So she's implying that he came here to see her. Not up to your standards? He questions with a half smile. Not even close. You wired? Amanda asks. I suspect you already know. Indulge me. No. Need to check? Assume I already did. Okay. You were missing out on an opportunity here to show their body language towards one another. It seems a little passive-aggressive, but also flirty, which I tend to like. But you can show that with their movements. The dialogue has got it, but are they leaning forward? Are they close to each other? Are they moving closer? What is our body language here? He nods in acknowledgement. And I almost want him to press here. I want it to be like he presses. But I think I'm going to move it this here and say, and he presses. Like he's pressing her for the information. Maybe. Let's just try and see. Assume I already did. And he presses. Must there be an and? She poses. Let's see. You could give a facial expression here too. She could even be deadpan. I kind of see her being deadpan. I mean, I don't know a whole terrible lot about her, but from the intense interactions she had with Sam a few chapters ago, she seems very direct. I mean, and she consistently is very direct, just very unshakable, unflappable, just okay. Let's see. Amanda. Okay, what tone is he saying her name with? You can show that with body language as well. Let's see. Careful, my not friend. Beer is beer. This is different, Amanda states. Okay, since he just called her Amanda and she's responding, I think this is when you could say she here. Is it? Yes. Throw me a bone, Garrett urges. How much time between the request for the special order and the pickup? She pokes the plant. Something's setting off alarms, he guesses. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, so this conversation is extraordinarily cryptic, and I'm kind of lost in it because I don't know what they're talking about. I'm following along, but maybe Amanda's internalizations throughout this dialogue would hint. Certain parts I want to know. I want to be grounded in so I can follow along and be part of it. How much time between the request for the special order and the pickup? She pokes the plant. Okay. Careful, my not friend. Okay, must there be an and? No, assume I already did. So I feel like here they're talking about whether or not he's wired. I suspect you already know. I'm guessing yes. My guess would be yes. She could internalize her thoughts. She says, indulge me. And he says, no. So I need to know her thoughts. And whatever she thinks, I would take for confirmation. No, need to check. Assume I already did. I almost want her to shrug or something here. It's kind of the body language I'd visualize. He nods. I don't think you need to say acknowledgement. If you don't like the other offering, the other suggestion I gave you, you could just say he nods. I don't think you need to say an acknowledgement. So you have multiple choices there. I mean, for suggestions anyway. Must there be an and? She presses. I said she presses one before. It was what I had him doing. So I don't know. I feel like they're pushing each other a little bit. Amanda, I asked for an action there. I'm kind of trying to figure out where I got lost in the context. Careful, my not friend, beer's beer, this is different. But what is she talking about? What is this? Because I thought they were talking about whether or not he was wired. And now I'm suddenly a little less sure. Okay. And is it? Yes. Throw me a bone, Garrett urges. How much time between the request for the special order and the pickup? She pokes the plant. Okay. So now I feel like we're shifting gears and we're getting more specific. I'm reasoning this out. These are my beta musings as I try to piece this out. Something's setting off alarms, he guesses. Maybe, maybe not. So is this like a problem? And she's not willing to admit there's a problem? Hour or two, give or take. Okay. You stepped where you shouldn't have, she states. Amanda, if I crossed some, my patience only goes so far. You can use her body language here because now her attitude is changing. So throughout this, you've got a gradual build happening. You can show their body language towards, as you know, she's poking at the plant. Does she put it down? You've got facial expressions, body language, and internalizations throughout this. So visualize the scene playing out. Visualize the characters saying these things, and what are they doing as they say them. I need that because it's really gonna amplify your build here. Okay. You stepped where you shouldn't have, she states. Amanda, if I crossed some, I kind of see him almost patronizing her or being sorry, but I don't know what, I'm assuming how I'm reading it the way I assume he'd be saying it, but I don't know for sure because you're not showing it, if that makes sense. My patience only goes so far. Careful before you lose the option of using my name. We've been doing this for several years. I can do it for several more. Truth is a valued commodity. Are you offering? Are you? He counters. No. Stand still it is. Yeah, we got opportunities for all kinds of the stuff I've already told you about, and I'm not going to keep repeating myself because that would be just annoying, and I don't want to do that. If that is how you need to see it, Amanda places the bottle on the counter. Okay, wait. So she's the plant is on the counter and she was poking at it. Okay, but she was holding the beer. Got it. Okay. Sam, needing something between us, Garrett poses. We've used poses earlier. It's right there. Right there. I didn't want to click it because I thought I'd lose my spot. But here's my spot. Okay. Sure, you can go with that. She steadies herself, giving him her back as she crutches away. I'd say turning. Just go ahead and say turning right there. She steadies herself, turning her back as she crutches away. You have your countermeasures in place. One would assume, given my profession, that's not trust. Amanda works down into her chair. So your idea or theirs to include the transceiver with the order? They're just flowers. I don't mean to be disrespectful. You're not that blind. What am I missing? He asks. More than you know. Please, he begs. Amanda chuckles. Begging is beneath you. Well, maybe it's not. Look around you. She opens her arms wide. It's not welcome here. Will you tell me why? Garrett asks, confused. She moves her hand in a bring it to me motion. And another beer. Okay, so throughout that, I'm reading it the way I think that they're saying it. So if you like that, if you agree with that, you could use those in my vocal intonations during that read to kind of imagine them playing out the scene. What are they doing? What does she think about it? What are they talking about? I'm still not entirely sure. I can kind of get the idea that there's something I don't know that they're talking about. It's kind of like an elephant in the room. But honestly, they both know and I don't. And I kind of feel like I probably should. I'm unsure. Okay, let's see. Garrett retrieves a bottle from the fridge, scoops up the plant, and delivers them to Amanda's desk. He shuffles some gadgets to the side and leans against it. She takes the flower by its stalk, yanks it from the pot, gives it a shake, and frees a small chip the size of a fingernail encased in hard plastic. She detangles the wires wrapped around its roots and holds it before Garrett. I didn't know that was in there, he defends. The wires slice her fingers like a paper cut. Sharp little. In a retaliatory action, she drops the chip and slides the pot off into the waiting trash can. Don't worry, it's harmless for the time being. Something is happening here that I don't understand, Garrett says. You do, yet you don't, she simpers. Sam, if she were capable of hate, this would be on the list. She closes her fist, hiding the tremor in her hand. Whoever ordered them got the information from one of your agents who interviewed her at Landing View. What? He tries. She continues unhindered. Supposedly buried, marked super secret, and only a handful of people have access, you being one of them. That's assuming Sam didn't suggest it herself. I kind of wondered if that could be a period and that could be a new sentence. I just wondered it. You would know better than me. He shakes his head, implying he has received nothing of the sort. Interesting. Amanda lets a moment pass as if reassessing the situation. Someone is peeking at things they shouldn't be. Okay. Should that be P-E-E-K-I-N-G? Peeking? Yeah. They're not excelling. They're looking. Okay. And you assume this because of... No assumption. I was there. I believe it was the only time she mentioned liking them. It was a sarcastic breadcrumb. She winks. You can get a little space right there. So, SAC Garrett, who had access to that interview if it wasn't you? And why these links to eavesdrop on Sam, especially with the authorized taps already here? Interesting. Okay, so like, is she implying that the room that they're in is tapped? Okay, so are they saying that Landing View, was that the hospital? Or is this some other event? I'm feeling like they're talking about what happened. They're referring to the scenes that happened in the beginning when she was in the hospital. Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking. Let's see. And she feels like someone's got information that was from that time period. That's what I'm gathering here. Maybe she wasn't the target. His eyes roam around the room, noting all the equipment and prototypes. She avoids a confirmation. I'll look into it. Leave it. It grants unnecessary credence. And you think that isn't going to? He lets his hand move from the pot to the disposed plant and an eye to the bug. There are many ways it could be rendered useless. To quote Sam, kinda sorta accidentally on purpose. Would you let that monstrosity through the door if you were me? You did, accepting it for what it was, a gift for Sam, and would dispose of it to save me the embarrassment. Which tells you, she leads, either they have no clue what they're up against. They call those amateurs. Amanda interjects. I'm going to pause. I feel like we need to state, and not here, but like further back here when we first start talking about them, we need to state who they are. Did you do that? Is it like, did I miss it? Kind of looking back when they start talking about, Okay, when she says it's not welcome here, does she eye the plant? Does she like look at it and kind of like, because she's talking about, I don't know. Okay, let's see. I feel like sometimes I worry that I've missed something that was in there. And honestly, sometimes during my first pass, when I do the read for you, I give you what I get initially, but then when I reread it later, because usually I'll create these videos and then I will upload them and I'll listen to them through to make sure that there's nothing I disagree with now that I need to talk to you about. And I'll listen through and realize there's stuff that suddenly makes sense to me, or that I read it differently even on the second pass. But the first pass I feel like is the one that's most important, because it's where we get that first impression, and that also gives you the information as to whether or not I'm being led along. Am I being led along and getting what you want me to get? Okay. So I can't, once I read it the second time, I can't get that. Sometimes I will get more answers to my questions the second pass, but I still didn't get it on the first, or I wasn't sure. So they're both relevant, maybe. Anyway, we're going to keep going. It takes a pro to have set up something seemingly so benign. Or someone soliciting the intrusion. She smiles and takes a sip of her beer. You set this up? Amanda shrugs. I could have. Garrett contemplates before speaking. Let's say you did. For what purpose? Identify parties poking at things that should be buried and forgotten. She massages her cramping hand. You know that thing Sam does where she sees connections in the smallest details that no one else can? Then expands it into a whole chain of events that a supercomputer, mine included, has issues processing. He nods. One of them just played out. And that bothers you, he says. I'm going to pause. What just played out? Like literally what just happened in this room? Now I kind of feel like I need to go back and reread the beginning. Okay. Okay, I'm wondering. We're going to keep going for right now. She looks at the watch on her arm. The timing and method of delivery does. Might I be intrusive enough to inquire why? You're here, aren't you? She sees it on his expression. It didn't connect. What does that look like? Show me his expression. You can do this. Let's see. I feel like you could show me what his expression is, but I also have to be careful that I don't suddenly think that it's him speaking. And then you can have her internalize, this could be her internal thought. That didn't connect. Because it could throw a monkey wrench into the real reason you're here. Enlighten me what the reason is from your perspective. Amanda stares at him in silence, waiting for him to answer his own question. Okay. You don't give up on anything, do you? Garrett coaxes. Not with stakes this high. Let's assume those behind that, he points to the transceiver, were knowledgeable enough about me, you, and Sam to have gotten it this far into our circle. Wouldn't they have also accounted for you pinging it before it even hit the door? And if it passed your gauntlet, you'd have it immediately scrambled. I don't know if that's a question or a statement. And then I'm starting to realize they don't want to say the name of these people because if they're listening, and I guess they are, which I think if she internalized that, I'd have that finalized confirmation as to who it is that's listening. That's it. You could have her internalize the thought of who it is she thinks is listening, and therefore they don't have to speak their name in this cryptic conversation. There you go. Okay. She again looks at her watch and sees a gentle ripple of the leaves around. Scrambled. Such a messy word. I prefer reordered artistically to my design. I love that. She holds onto her leg, trying to calm a tremor. You have a reputation. Associating with the likes of me results in questions neither of us are prepared to answer. A plant? I'm inclined to let it through the door. That is only known to those who have been here a short list or watch and listen longer, but not by much. You carry authority, so the watchers don't question you as the delivery boy. You plus plant of like for Sam, because I'm not only adversarial to you, but would be paranoid about any gift directed at me, equals where we are. Okay, that one was, I tripped over that one a little bit. Particularly this first part. You plus plant of like for Sam. I don't even know what to suggest because I'm not making sense of it. You plus plant of like for Sam, because I'm not only adversarial to you, but would be paranoid about any gift directed at me, equals where we are. Okay. Oh, equals where we are. She's at you plus plant of like for Sam, because I'm not only adversarial to you, but would be paranoid about any. Oh, I'm going to tell you make a little observation here. This is almost the way Sam talks. Like she says, you plus plant of like for Sam, because Sam would talk like she's adding things up. Yeah, so that line almost sounds like Sam. And it took me a minute to figure out what it means. You plus plant of like for Sam, or you plus a plant Sam likes. You plus a plant Sam likes, because I'm not only adversarial to you, but would be paranoid about any gift directed to me, equals where we are. Equals where we are. Do we have an and? Okay, so if you want this to read like a formula, you've got the plus and the equals, but we have an add. We need to say add to that, and then it would read more like a formula. You plus plant of like for Sam. You plus a plant Sam likes, because I'm not only adversarial to you, but would be paranoid about any gift directed to me, equals where we are. I don't know. I'd play with that one. I think it'll be pretty simple to fix. I get what you're trying to say, but it did take me a minute. Yeah. A little bit of rewording, I think. I would reword that one just a little bit. Let's see. It also does sound a little more like Sam than Amanda. Anyway, we're going to keep going. She picks up her beer and takes a swig, hiding a satisfactory grin. When did this get so complicated, he asks. The day agents walked into our hospital room asking questions, and I got assimilated into the conspiracy by proximity. They weren't my agents. You know this. I was there because of Sam, he defends. That part didn't make it complicated. She finishes her drink, sees the wave amongst the plants, and smiles. So, why are you here now? You sure, he asks. You tell me. There's a first time for everything. And all the narcissistic, egotistical, self-serving characteristics and behaviors all your experts suggest I possess would imply that's a possibility in what way? I see your point. He takes an indulgent sip of beer and states, job offer? Pass. You haven't even heard what it is. Don't need to. Okay, so much opportunity for body language between them in their tones of voice, which you can show through their actions. Okay, Garrett regroups his thoughts. For future reference, why doesn't Sam like the plant? He points to its carcass. It's a Taka. There we go. She's going to identify it. Okay. It's a Taka chantieri. She sees this means nothing to him. It's commonly known as a black bat flower. Hard to tell when it's not in bloom. That's what it's called. Amanda chuckles. Yes. If I choose to share, I'll put a little fear and caution into their future actions where Sam is concerned. If they think she's already one step ahead of them, then she is. If Steiner's not the one behind this, he'll be digging to find out who is moving in on his secrets, she says with a mixture of disdain in her tone. And feed into his already inflated sense of conspiracy where the two of you are concerned? Don't exclude yourself, young man, she meets his eyes. He was on your back long before Sam and I entered the picture. Young man, Garrett questions. I'm at least 20 years your elder. To the eye, anyway, Amanda gives him a mischievous wink. Breadcrumbs, Hansel and Gretel. Relate that to the more grim versions. Not the children's book. She chuckles. I've got it covered. It kind of sounds like Sam is rubbing off on Amanda a little bit. Garrett contemplates what she has said and the shift in her demeanor to comfort over antagonism. Okay, wait. Uh-oh. We just switched points of view. Wait, maybe? I mean, I guess she could observe him. Okay, that almost reads like it's his point of view. I can see how she might observe him in contemplation. What I would suggest is show what that facial expression looks like, or show what his body language is. You know, does he have a hand to his chin in thought? You know, something, just something. Okay, the job offer. It's not the first time. No, and there it is. Seeing the realization forming in his expression, she continues. If I recall, you're a history buff, aren't you? Passing curiosity when I have time. Why do you ask? Should that maybe be a period and a question, a capital there? I'm just wondering. Or maybe it could be either or. What's occupying my time now? She reaches for her keyboard. A trail for both of us to follow in different directions. The stepmother got smart after the first attempt at getting rid of them when Hazel laid down the pebbles. The second was breadcrumbs, but the birds ate them, leaving them lost. They stumble onto the witch's house, which is nummy goodness. Okay, that sounds like Sam. I mean, it's Amanda, but it really sounds like Sam. But if they shared a mind, some of Sam could rub off on Amanda. So, I don't know. I mean, I could rationalize that. Okay, it's just going to be an observation for you to note. If it's intentional, and or if she internalizes thoughts, or if Garrett makes an observation that she's talking like Sam, or that Sam is rubbing off on her. I don't know, something. Anyway, we're gonna keep going. Amanda, I know the tale, but I don't. Humpty Dumpty? Yes, it goes back to what Sam said in that call. It was your shorthand, totally benign except to the two of you. For Sam, it was to trigger your memories. And it's the same for me now. You're coming to me with the offer of a job because deep down you're questioning if I'm a grandmaster of spycraft, super assassin, someone plotting the end of the world. I might put an or right there. You need someone like that, but to retain that knowledge causes problems. So we go through it, and you give me breadcrumbs. So, she wiggles the mouse. The display comes to life as the images Vicky had sent are organized in detail across the span. If Vicky is the AI, and her name was mentioned above, I missed it. You could name her sooner, just to let people go ahead and know it's the AI, because you don't hold that out too far. A boyish smile crosses his face. Is that in Coptic? He asks. Okay, I almost want his dialogue to be. I mean, it's her. She could have wiggled the mouse. The display comes to life. The image is. I think you could start a new paragraph here and put this dialogue at the end of that sentence right there. Is that in Coptic? He asks. Amanda chuckles. Only a handful would pick up on that, but yeah, and a rather interesting dialect. Dr. Vicky Abbott unearthed it near a Nubian monastery. Why is that name familiar? For you, through her older sister Elizabeth, who you were on your way to meet when Sam called you about ending up in Landing View. Are you serious? Wait, how did you and your selective memory? Amanda rolls her eyes. Did she do that earlier? I am not sure. It's a long chapter, so I mean, there's plenty of distance. There it is. A roll of her eyes. I don't know if she did it. That's the second time. Like, so I noticed it. It doesn't mean that it's not in there a third time. I don't know, but I did notice it. And I guess the idea that I noticed it is probably an indication of something. Maybe it depends on what you think about it. Okay. You and your selective memory. Amanda rolls her eyes. Not something I'm used to. Vicky wanted to see if I could shed some light on it. She fidgets with the beer and takes a small sip. I'm a more Northern European Druidic person, Cumbric, Pictish, Cornish, Breton. It bothers you, doesn't it? Yes. Garrett's eyes convey a question that he would like to ask, but he hesitates. You translate dead languages as well? Not dead. Not translating. I'm reading and deciphering difference. We know I'm good at that. She pulls to her feet and rests against the desk, wincing in pain. So is Sam. She looks at. I wonder what his facial expression is here. What is his tone? I can't tell how Garrett feels about some things. Okay, I'm kind of thinking he's just stating it. We're going to go with that. She looks at her hair, hinting, be the king geek for a while. Sam's the one who hooked us up. You know how she is about bringing people together to solve puzzles. She implies it is purposeful. The two of them are having this conversation over the materials. Vicky was one of her professors or something. Totally legit. Anyway, she asked if I'd take a stab at it. Figured why not. Oh, now I know that Vicky is not the AI. So, okay. Why did I think that? Did we just start talking about a new character when we mentioned her by name? Okay, we're gonna keep going. Garrett nods and half smiles. Yeah, they studied together when Sam was getting her master's. Or was it doctorate? I can never keep them all straight. I can't either. Amanda reaches for a medication bottle behind her and works the top off. She throws the pills into her mouth, swallowing them dry. She looks down at her leg, hinting toward Garrett. Towards Garrett. My goodness, that was all me. That's all me. She looks down at her leg, hinting towards Garrett. I'm supposed to say something here. Am I missing it? Aren't I? And I'm missing it. What? Okay. I'm supposed to say something here, and I'm missing it, aren't I? Maybe it's always a different path. I don't know what you kept and what you didn't. She pops 2 more pills in her mouth and takes another drink. Garrett looks at the action and starts to free the chair. No, you sit unless my hovering is bothersome. If It is better if I stand, circulation and all. How's that going? He asks about her leg, hoping this is the path she's directing him down. She reaches over and taps on the keyboard. Her medical records appear on one of the screens. I'm sure it has all been explained to you by the experts you employ. She sees Garrett is about to object. Don't get all uptight fed in the presence of a lawbreaker on me. It's not against the law if they're your records. Acquired them fair and square when they wouldn't share, quoting HIPAA or something or other. I was courteous enough not to peek at anyone else's, but wow, I could have, she chuckles. Their security could use an upgrade. I'm a little unsure about all the punctuation in that section right there. And I'm generally overlooking it, leaving it for you because you have such a better grounding of it. So I'm just kind of not I'm overlooking all of it for the most part. Unauthorized access, he states. By law, I have a right to my information. You put up all sorts of security around it without asking for my permission. Okay, yeah. With good reason. So one of my many aliases won't be using words like lawsuit and abuse of authority towards the Bureau for the mistreatment that led to this. She points to her leg. We didn't... Oh, we got an extra gap right there. You didn't, she snaps, but we know some cross those lines. Lassiter Pharmaceutical and their antiviral came to mind. By appearances, it causes major organ failure, but there is more behind the curtain. We both know it, so don't. You could, this is fine, but you could probably even just make a period and start a new sentence there if you wanted. She cuts off his interruption. I just happen to be one of the lucky ones it hasn't killed off yet. I can't open that can of worms because then they'll poke me. Okay, hang on. I just happen to be one of the lucky ones it hasn't killed off yet. I can't open that can of worms because then they'll poke at me, wondering why I'm not dead. Should be, but not. Broom. Sweep it under the pre-existing or cancer rug, along with all their other shady stuff. I almost want broom to be a statement, like broom, period, and then capital, sweep it under the rug. Maybe. It's just a thought. That's one way of looking at it. Another is to protect who you are. How many of your aliases would hold up to the scrutiny and publicity of such an inquest? Semantics. He rolls his eyes. And you wonder why I believe what I do about you. We have more eye rolling. No, you do it on purpose. Yes, I enjoy watching you work and you prefer the challenge. It's the game we play. It's our thing. I almost want her to smile when she says that. Okay, and then we have a gap here. Let's see, keep going. You're dangling answers in front of me like a carrot. We have no dialogue tags. I want them. I want the action. Okay, let's see. Don't you think I've been scouring the internet and private networks to satisfy those questioning? Okay, so wait, those questioning, like his questions or somebody's asking him questions? The way it reads, it's someone questioning him and he's trying to answer them. Okay, anyway, we're gonna keep going. Wait, you know I have. She caresses the stem of a seedling. Wait, it was her? Okay, okay, this was him. And now it's her. Okay, that changes the way. Okay, hang on, we're going to reread this. Don't you think I've been scouring the internet and private networks to satisfy those questioning? Wait, you know I have. She caresses the stem of a seedling. But for me, it's just a hobby to pass the time and stave off the boredom. I respectfully disagree and suspect it is to discover who out there may pick up on who you were before, who might be hunting for whatever subtle clues you may have dropped consciously or otherwise. Oh my goodness. That's a really long sentence. All right. Okay, first I'm thinking I need some visual of Garrett. And actually, to break up this sentence, you could probably throw something in the middle. What? Did you see my... Okay, anyway. You could put something in the middle to break it up. So I would look for a place to make this 2 sentences and maybe reword them a little bit so there's a lot of words in here. A lot of little words. We've got 3 who's. I respectfully disagree, period. I also suspect it is to discover who out there maybe may pick up on who you were before. Maybe on your past or your history, something that might might take less words but say the same thing. I wonder who might be hunting for whatever subtle clues you may have dropped consciously or otherwise. Yeah, you could break that up into 2 or 3 sentences. Lots of options there. Okay. He does get it, she winks, then diverts. I hope you have a bigger drive this time. Been busy with the new toys. The code alone should keep your techs occupied and teach them a thing or two about the companies that hired me. Question? What? Is it legal for you to use government resources for your pet projects? I want her to have a quotation here and then like an action of like she's playing with him a little bit, a body language that kind of shows that, and then have the quotations around the word question, almost like, she's toying with him. Let's see. And I mean, and maybe she's not, but I just want something to kind of show her disposition, since we don't have her thoughts, and we also could use some of those. A lot of times the things that you say, though, kind of help with that. So then body language would be the other the other thing you can use to show their feelings, but then they're spies, so it's like sometimes they have ulterior motives in the things that they ask, like they're leading someone, and I feel like she's toying with him a bit. Okay. What? Is it legal for you to use government resources for your pet projects? Garrett crosses his arms and doesn't answer. I kind of want that to be a separate paragraph, because for a minute I thought it was Garrett speaking, and then I got confused. You could just ask. She raises her eyebrows, hinting that he should. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small thumb drive. May I? She points to a port amongst the many towers beneath the desk. Steiner must think you're a super spy extraordinaire. Without question, I let you walk in here and plug stuff into my computers. Of course, there's that whole spite thing. You'd rather give it to me willingly than allow him to work for it? Yes. The government? She chuckles and shakes her head. Refused to pay me for the encryption software and mobile network protections I developed? Gee, they're still trying to reverse engineer the patch for the blackout virus. It serves my purposes that they have parts of it to protect my own. For your interest, if they believe you have a close enough relationship with me, I don't notice you're sneaking it out of here. Interesting. Well said. Garrett smiles as he parts the dangling leaves of a plant sitting on top of the tower and plugs it in the drive. When he looks up at Amanda, a small tendril inches from underneath and wraps around the thumb drive in a tight grip, then fades from the luscious green to a translucent state. I've been given the lead to create a new team. I want you to be part of it, but hold the phone. I mean, did the plant just change? Wait, did the plant just, I guess, science maybe? I'm just, okay. For a minute when it said tendril, I thought about her hair, and then I realized it was the plant, and then the plant was changing color. I'm a little, okay. Can't be fed without a clean background, she pauses, contemplating. Oh, can't be a fed. Let's try it again. Can't be a fed without a clean background, she pauses, contemplating. You're not offering a position with the Bureau. No. She takes the last swig, then faces Garrett, eyeing him. I'm not Sam, so I'm going to ask. Do you feel it's safe to be discussing this here? I think that question is best answered by you. He leans back in the chair and looks up at her. A carefully constructed ploy to learn how, if present, I defeat your attempts at surveillance. Possible, but I wouldn't have given up the drive if that were the case. Could be seen as me leaking information. Garrett's eyes lock with hers. Okay, I'm gonna reread that line because I got interrupted. Possible, but I wouldn't have given up the drive if that were the case. Could be seen as me leaking information. Garrett's eyes lock with hers. And I wouldn't have offered on the same premise. She holds his gaze. Why now, after all this time? Your reasoning. I have my own. Sam, her intuition will put her on the same path her parents were on. I kind of want Yeah, I need Garrett's like I want to know what Garrett feels, and I feel like we could show that with his actions. And I also kind of want to know how Amanda feels and what is she thinking about. All right, tough place for you to be in. Grab me another one. She thrusts the empty bottle towards him. Garrett stands, keeping his gaze from Amanda as he moves to the kitchen. She leans over the over. I would just say over the keyboard. Okay, let me try that again. Garrett stands, keeping his gaze from Amanda as he moves to the kitchen. She leans over the keyboard, pulls up a small box, and types in Garrett's name, followed by a string of characters. A warning flashes about the thumb drive, posing the question to secure or not. Amanda selects the quarantine option. She instructs the system to take the delay further out. She returns to her position as if she'd not moved. He finds his way back, pops the top of a beer, and hands it to her. So, you've shown me what happened, and you show it to me beautifully, and your dialogue is good. But I need her thoughts and feelings. I mean, what is she thinking about as she does this? And you could just scatter it here and there. All right, we're going to keep going. So, about this job offer, are you willing to be open about what it entails? All of it? In trade, I'll attempt not to be elusive and vague in my answers. What I know, yes. To clarify, I'm Hansel, and you're the witch. He spins the chair, offering it to her. Amanda smirks. We're a bit of each. It works better if you sit. Lighter processing load if they don't have to accommodate for rendering your movements and a deviating storyline. The drive, starting point? Yes. Amanda takes a sip of her beer. Oh, I said of beer. Oh, I would tuck her in there. Amanda takes a sip of her beer. The governing board of ICID. Do they know about me? I don't believe so. Sam, Amanda asks. There have been some uncomfortable inquiries recently. It feels like a fishing expedition and I'm the bait. References to cases I've been involved with, implied knowledge beyond what is in the reports. Let me try that again. References to cases I've been involved with, implied knowledge beyond what is in the reports. I kind of want a comma or something, like right here. I was trying to figure out the way he was saying it as I was reading it. Like, how is he saying it? Like, with what tone? And I'm not sure. Usually, I kind of read it like he's speaking matter of factly. A lot that just kind of seems to be kind of their tit for tat kind of thing going on. Let's see. References to cases I've been involved with. I almost want like a comma, or I want it to say and implied knowledge beyond what is in the reports. Yeah, maybe it just needs an and. I don't know. It could be a simple fix. It depends on how you would read it. I don't know if I'm reading it the right way, like with the right tone. We're going to keep going. The downside to reports is that when you purposely leave out details, you need to remember you did so. You're being investigated, she states as her fingers tap a pattern on the top of the desk. I believe so. You are, the system announces an incoming message. Open that for me. Garrett opens the message. I might have him tap something on the screen or something so that it's not a repetition of the message part, but it still does the same thing. And I think the little quote mark might have done the thing where when you add it and it should turn this way, it doesn't, and I don't know why it does that, but I think it did. Anyway, stay put. It's from Vicky, the pictures of the remaining text. Your input would be appreciated. She reaches for the mouse and opens a blank document. Second opinion. I'll follow up afterward. Besides, it's a suitable cover for you being here. Okay, you said investigated. By whom? Garrett asks as he skims the information. ICID. I've brought this up before, he states, so you know the players. Wouldn't be alive and talking if I didn't. The trust has also gotten curious, but not on their own accord. There's a traitor in the midst, Garrett says as Amanda slides the keyboard towards him. Yes, and you've got from someone of no consequence. Oh, yes, and you've gone from someone of no consequence to one who is a barrier. Allowing you to create a team is a way to identify your current and possible allies. You're aware of this, It's why you tasked Carter to me. It kept your hands clean of the influence. Okay, so I feel like it's out of context for me because I don't know what they're talking about. I'm trying to piece something together, but I don't know what they're talking about. I don't. I'm trying to figure it out. I could be missing it. It could be, I'm not really sure. I feel like I'm missing something and I don't know what they're talking about. I know they're, yeah, that's just all there is to it. Okay. Yes. Do you know who this traitor is? He asks. I want to be clear. I understand that now there's a traitor in the midst, but I kind of missed. I guess I kind of missed. I bet I catch it on my reread. A lot of times I'll reread and then all of a sudden I remember, like I get everything. I think it's because I'm looking for so many things at one time that sometimes I miss the obvious. And I bet I'll catch the context when I reread it. Part of me is trying to figure out if I'm using the right tones of voice as I'm reading. So there's, I don't know. Okay, we're going to keep going. Let's see. Yes, do you know who this traitor is? He asks. No. To poke at it in any way will trigger action. There are far too many unaccounted eyes on us. We need to play the passive game on this one. Sit idly by and let them. Right there. That urgency to do something before whatever, fill in the blank, happens is what makes ICID and its agents such unworthy adversaries for the trust. They are long-haul players, and you're working the short game. Though in your defense, you've come closer than any other aware of their existence. Are you trying to say we're in over our heads? Yes, she states. I see, so throughout this conversation, you can be moving them and using their body and using their face to show their attitudes, their feelings towards one another and their body language. And I want to see that. Okay. All right. Yes, she states, you've suspected that I once walked in their inner circle. I did, as a slave, a commodity to be bought and sold for position and posturing. A long, awkward silence hung between them. Should it be hung? Hangs? Hung? Contemplating that one as well. Garrett's voice is low when he speaks. I've been waiting for that admission for several years. Longer, she clarifies. Don't thank me. In verifying that, I am placing you in a difficult situation and why I've waited for you to follow the breadcrumbs to what you see as my delicious house. Figured you were protecting what you know and my suspicions of it for a good reason. You need to figure it out on your own. It carries more that way. I also suspect you're being incremental on purpose. We've established before that anything you get from me can never come from, well, me. If they do, they'll change tactics, rendering you and any information you provide useless. I'm not new to this, he says. In the grand scheme of things, you are an adolescent, an adept one. She flashes him a not-so-innocent smirk. However, it's worse than the trust retreating and returning in a different form. The smallest whiff of betrayal, that ignites destruction this world hasn't seen in decades. What you and ICID have associated with them is just the tip of the iceberg. You don't walk away from them. You don't retire, and you sure as don't go over to the other side. Okay, that read just fine. I'm just going to suggest maybe that they be sentences because I feel like you don't walk away from them. You don't retire. So putting emphasis on each sentence by actually each statement by separating them instead of having it continuance. I think that's just a subtle suggestion to put more emphasis on them. Anyway, we'll keep going. You did, he states. No, I didn't, she barks. I crashed a plane. An opportunity arose and I made a choice. She trails off into deep thought, her expression shifting as if battling within herself and wanting to speak of it. When you're ready, Garrett consoles. I'll never be ready. But it needs to be said. She swallows hard. It's important that you know the hold it has. The choices, as I made them, are so rare you might as well consider them impossible. It was sheer luck I survived, and they didn't. Their deaths surely had some devastating effects on their organizational structure, so my survival was of no concern. You're suggesting you were overlooked? Yes, confirmation I was dead, because I was twice over. I've kept quiet with the scrutiny and hell I've been through at the hand and the and hell I've been through at the hands of your various agencies. Hmm. First of all, I probably should not have said that. Second, you probably could have put a D before it, maybe. Let's just try it and see how it sounds, but obviously I'm just going to go not say that. All right, let me give it a go. Yes, confirmation I was dead, because I was twice over. I've kept quiet with the scrutiny and the that I've been through at the hands of your various agencies, because you know they've got their hands into all of that. Oh, we got hands twice. Do do do. Oops. Do do do. Okay, Mel, stop. Stop. Okay. Okay, let's slow down just a little bit. Yes, confirmation I was dead, because I was twice over. I've kept quiet with the scrutiny I've been through at the hands of your various agencies, because you know they've got theirs into all of that. Okay, their hands into all of that. Oh, you could just say their hands in it, because you know they've got their hands in it. But yeah, let's try that. Yes, confirmation I was dead, because I was twice over. I've kept quiet with the scrutiny and the I've been through at the hands of your various agencies, because you know they've got theirs in it. But as time goes on and they reestablish their network, the risk of my discovery increases exponentially. It's always been there. What's different now? A culmination of events that could take years to relay. I know how this is going to sound, but the biggest is the change of perspective I've gained since meeting Sam. He's about to say something, but she holds up a finger to halt his interruption. She's done that a couple times. I feel like if we scroll back, she's done it at least two other times this chapter. It can't be undone, and it's one none of us will ever be able to explain, but know that it's monumental. Okay. Amanda again caresses the plant nearest her in response to the cascade of movement she witnesses behind Garrett. But wait, she's touching the plant again. I thought she threw it away. But there is more than one plant. Okay, and then there was the one that lit up and turned translucent. Okay, we're going to keep going. Because of this, I realized you operate on a different belief system than the trust. And you can translate between. Somewhat. As an example, the package Somewhat. As an example, the package the board of ICID, thought to be on the plane, made out to be catastrophically powerful. Yes? Yes, you're going to admit that it existed? The plane or the package? She smirks. Both? I kind of imagine him looking at her like, both? Like, like leaning forward a little bit and being almost asking it like a question. Yes, they existed. And before you get your shorts in a bunch, we didn't confirm nor deny, because if we had, you'd have closed the investigation and stopped looking into it. And that's not what a curious FBI or ICID agent would do. The trust would have dug to find out what you were trying to hide. They'd have found Sam and me, and we'd be dead, and you'd still be in the dark. Okay, that's a little bit of a long one. The trust would have dug to find out what you were trying to hide, period. They'd have found Sam and me, period. We'd be dead, and you'd still be in the dark. I think that last one could be a whole sentence. Those are just my suggestions anyway. True, he says with the tip of his head, implying he can't argue the point. You were led to believe it was destructive because it was to choose within the trust. ICID's information was tainted by their fears as intended. You had no reason to think it might be harmless or helpful to the world. When the plane went down, an easy assumption that I, as well as everyone on board, was consumed by it. When the plane went down, an easy assumption that I, as well as everyone on board, was consumed by it. Okay, sorry, I got it right the second time. Excuse me, consumed? He chokes out. Found no trace of it, did you? She smiles, knowing they didn't. It's why I've held on to this. You weren't ready for it. And you think I am now? She pauses as if preparing. Reason you never found the plane, Sam's dad, or any of the other bodies? Sam drew you a picture with indisputable detail, yet no evidence had been extracted or anyone had been up on the mountain to clean up the wreckage. The only explanation, one that the public can't accept, is that it simply vanished. Magic. Poof. Gone. She grins, her brows rising as if daring him to challenge her words. She could almost move her hands as though to make a poofing sound, poofing, not a sound, goodness, poofing motion with her hands or something like that if you wanted. And you could probably do it. You could probably add it in right there. I mean, this works. It works. But I'm just saying, I kind of visualize her doing that as she's saying it. You're saying the trust has magical powers? He spits out through a chuckle, yet a hint of surprise and knowledge carries along with it. I would say a mix. Maybe a mix. And then this probably would have read better. Let me just try it. You're saying the trust has magical powers? He spits out through a chuckle, yet a mix of surprise and knowledge carry along with it. Yeah, maybe. I'd change that to carry and put a mix. Yeah. Okay, that's my suggestion. We're going to keep going. While it's not magic, as all the fiction books and such define it, it's the closest I can offer that will get through that purposeful Swiss cheese memory of yours. I should take offense. But I know it's true. She pointed her bottle towards him. While most of their members don't have it specifically, things they possess do. You're serious, he states. Deadly. This package, can you tell me what it was? If the trust in what they possess are the dark, diseased, evil, she takes the last drink. It was life, what was good and right in the world. It deserved to be protected from them at whatever cost. She relishes saying it aloud with a smile as she tosses the bottle in the can. Need another? Yeah. Yeah, I kind of want his reaction to go with his yeah. I mean, is he surprised? Is he worried? Is he, yeah, like, yeah, yeah. Is he surprised? Is he worried? What is he feeling? She holds a hand, telling him to remain seated and absorb all of it. She crutches into the kitchen. You were protecting it, he says. Didn't say that specifically. She opens the fridge and frees the remaining beers. Yeah, earlier I suggested swapping that out. You can keep this one if you swap out that one before, and that takes care of that whole problem. And I think I gave a suggestion on the earlier one. I'm not sure. I can't. Okay, we're gonna keep going. Didn't say that specifically. She opens the fridge and frees the remaining beers. I'd like to believe I was, but that wouldn't be fully truthful. Depends on the day, my mood, and my perspective on reality. She shrugs. Depends on whether I was loyal to someone who, in hindsight, didn't deserve it, or if I was being spiteful and taking something they wanted away from them. Sometimes I think I wanted to do some good for the world, but what's common amongst that? Selfishness. It was mine. I found it, acquired it. Why should they have power over it? Enlightening, yet not, Garrett concedes. I should be used to it by now. I wanted to say that. I think because sometimes some of the it's, I'm not sure what they are every now and then. So if there's an opportunity to be specific, we could do that. And he's referring to what they're saying, this whole situation. So let's just try it. Enlightening, yet not, Garrett concedes. I should be used to that by now. You answer one question only to give me a million more. Popping the top, she hands him the bottle and leans against the desk, freeing her crutches from under her arms. I'm a complicated woman, and I am nothing compared to what's involved in classifying the trust. Deep down, I think you've always known. You just need someone to put a voice to it. Sam know? Yes, she states. Not all of it, but enough to be vulnerable where they are concerned. That's why you're so protective of her? Oh, I wouldn't go that far, Amanda chuckles. Sam and I had our differences of opinion when we first encountered each other. Oil and water, black and white. There were many occasions where both of us would have rather put the other out of our respective miseries, but not without sacrificing ourselves. You protect her to protect yourself. He smiles and nods. Selfish. Yes. I wasn't so sure about your interactions with her parents and such. I needed some time to feel all of that out, whether you were using her or hiding her from what she could become. Amanda takes a drink, then as if she's revealing a centuries-old unspoken truth. Sam and I share that last of our kind uniqueness. Her intuition, memory, that uncanny knack of just knowing the truth. He trails off, not able to finish. He diverts. Her ability to heal quicker than the rest of us. More after she got out of the hospital. You've hinted that a lot more happened between the plane crash and now. That part of it? Yes, she chuckles. Tricky time. Bender that you are, you've somehow hidden information. Okay, hang on. When I saw, oh, time bender, tricky, time bender that you are. Hmm. I was reading these as two separate words, even though there's a hyphen, because I thought tricky, like a tricky time, and I thought she was referring to a tricky time period. Now she's calling him a time bender. Okay. Um, I might take out tricky, just because if I had just gone straight into reading time bender, I probably would have read it correctly, solely for that reason. Let me just let me just try it. Yes, she chuckles. Time bender that you are, you've somehow hidden information. Why you're so deer in the headlights right now, leaving me to relay fairy tales to trigger stuff. Okay. I kind of wonder if those are two separate sentences or an opportunity for two separate sentences, just to help it read a little better, or flows, like help the flow of it. And honestly, yeah. And other than that, it's working for me. We're going to keep going. Garrett sits in silence, his eyes holding with hers. I'm unsure how to respond to that, so I'm not. And go back to Sam. I always wrote it off as good genetics. Because you had to. It was the best you could explain with her and your agreement. Smart. Then mix that with some astronomically impossible conditions. He considers her words for a few moments. What do you... Oh my goodness. We're going to try that again. He considers her words for a few moments. What do you mean, last of your kind? Correction, I'm not the last, but more one of a kind, a conundrum. I've always known my origins. It's a long story, but since that version of me is dead and gone, we should all thank whatever higher power for that. She holds up the bottle in a toast. He meets it with a clink. So then, the better question, what do you know of Sam's origins? She looks at him, the lack of information marking his face. Huh, you removed that? He shrugs. Okay, not expected. Because who would be protecting Sam from those that you, he poses? I would have to exude some trust at some point. Dangerous. Not even a hint, she asks. He shakes his head. Nothing beyond she has some anomalies that would have every pharmaceutical company using her as a lab rat. And Lassiter's the focus there. Yeah. It gives reasoning and why you went to great lengths to keep them private, Amanda smirks. Even someone with my skills didn't stumble upon them. And I was looking. He nods, accepting the compliment. It's well deserved. Okay, wait. When he nods and accepts the compliment, is she saying it's well deserved, or is he saying it's well deserved? When you showed his action in this paragraph with Amanda's dialogue, I suddenly thought we had switched and maybe this needed to be a new paragraph. And maybe it does. I'm not really sure. It depends on who says this. Yeah, okay. Let's see. But by my pointing it out, I know that you're going to know what you intended. And so I'm going to leave it for you to resolve and not make a suggestion. I'm just going to point it out because I don't know what you intended, if that makes sense. Okay. All right, enough. We're going to keep going. Specifics, if it's not crossing any lines, he asks. If it does, you'll just erase that. Wish I had the luxury. Anyway, her genetics are only part of the greater whole. I'm kind of contemplating in the back of my mind what she means by time bender. I mean, it probably is what it implies. And now I'm starting to realize that Garrett's had some of his memory erased. And how did I not piece that together until the past couple sentences? Maybe you could, if I was supposed to know that sooner, you could probably show it through her internal musings. She could actually have thoughts about that. I don't know if she knew it the whole time or if she had come to the realization. I'm just kind of processing it all. It's so much. You give so much information in a chapter, and at the same time, it brings up new questions. So the mind is constantly piecing it all together. And while I'm trying to do the beta read, sometimes I miss that the answers will sometimes be there in my second pass, and I miss it just because there's so many things I'm looking for at one time. So if it's there and I missed it, I apologize. All right. And that goes for everything. Sometimes I do point out things and I go back and read it and I'm like, no, I get it now, you know? But I'm also reading it on a second pass. So I guess you get to digest it a little more. Okay. Let's see. This is true, but, And it did the little quotation thing to you again. She cuts him off. We're about to do something that has never been done before. I get that. Ooh, I hate it when it does that. Why does it do that? I don't, some things do things that I do not understand why. I don't understand why. Anyhow, I don't think you do, at least the full scope, not with your purposeful archiving of related information. Amanda takes in a breath as she meets his eyes. Behind her gaze, he can see fear, but also strength of conviction. Okay, that's in his mind. I felt like we were in Amanda's point of view, and I feel like that sentence is in his point of view. I'm just going to point that out, and we're going to keep going. Garrett breaks the awkwardness. Didn't go so well before? Why I choose not to recall? She shrugs. It didn't go anywhere because we both concluded we weren't ready. This is different, he poses, not blinking. I suppose where you're concerned. He lowers his head. I'm sorry, he mumbles, ashamed. That could probably be a period. Don't be. If we have to go again, we do. She takes a moment. Standing alone with this knowledge is just as dangerous as sharing it. Garrett thanks her with a nod. Rock meets hard place. In more ways than one. Since Sam is our common point, I'll start with generalizations that I, as Amanda Severin, could relate to using what Sam has said. Not me from before. She's still pretty locked up and tongue-tied and not the sharing variety. Differentiation. Different. I'm just going to suggest that I have never seen that before and let alone tried to say it. Differentiation. Noted. I got it. Okay, we're going to keep going. Yeah, I mean, you may want to swap that out. I don't know. You might just say noted. I don't know. Or you might leave it for people like me to just stump. I don't know. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we're going to keep going. Amanda waits as if expecting the world to end. When it doesn't, she continues. Those that Sam descends from, her bloodline, were thought to have been hunted to extinction by those we'll pull together as the trust. They were the hand that acted, but not always the reasoning behind it. A lifetime in politics, he implies himself. Things aren't as they appear on the surface. Amanda nods. Slaughters by the masses, genocide in the beginning, then the occasional roundup of small groups under the guise of witchcraft, traitors, followers of the wrong religion, or your choice of a million reasons. Word of a straggler would come up, and just as swiftly they would be disposed of. She lowers her head. I had my hand in more than my fair share in recent history. You gave me the moniker of the Lady in Red when trying to explain my deeds to your superiors. Then you came up with some flavorful names throughout the years as I avoided your attempts at identification and capture. It has been our connecting point before. You're her daughter, he states. No, try again. Not possible. She'd be in her 90s by now. Amanda looks up, letting her eyes roll about as a smile graces her lips. And you're 500 plus, but don't look a day over 50. So yeah, about 90-ish would work given when you saw her. Me. I believe his name is Ronald. The man secluded in safety since the Second Great War, trying to unravel the secrets of it all. A pretty good case study when I dropped out of the sky, right? He tries to hide the disbelief, but fails. It's written all over his expression. Don't tell me that. Show me that, please. I'll explain how I know that later, she offers relief. You were more correct than you give yourself credit for. For what, specifically? You had me dead to rights, a lucky shot at that distance. Lucky had nothing to do with it, he defends. No way she walked away from that. Amanda pushes through a chuckle. No. Wait, so is the she he's talking about literally Amanda? And I'm just like, he's talking about her. She's literally saying, this is me. This was me. Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta keep going. All right. Luck had nothing to do with it, he defends. No way she walked away from that. Amanda pushes through a chuckle. No, I stumbled off in some seriously blank off pain. Left a blood trail that a blind man could have followed, thanks to you missing the body armor I'd designed for the occasion. I made it about a half mile into the woods before you were on me. Tied that scarf on a limb so you could have some closure. Never got the end of that story, probably why you passed it to me to explain to Sam in the hospital. Nuh-uh, he says, moving his finger from side to side. You aren't getting me to. You don't have to divulge anything. I was there, she grins. The blood trail stopped at the base of the tree, bloody handprint at your eye level. All of that work only to have your prey up and disappear into the mist. You put her out there knowing I'd be on the prowl, and you convinced her to have faith that you'd get the shot off before I did. Risky, given your knowledge of me and the history of defeat at my hands and time again. Who's the her that he put out there? Was it Sam? Is he. What? Okay, if it's Sam, say Sam. I think it's Sam. So, was he the one hunting her? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, we got to keep going. Garrett shakes his head as if willing the conversation not to be taking the course it is. Oh, some regret, huh? I like that. I like that line. Amanda continues. I saw what you did. I'd seen it before, but not to that level of mastery. You looked right at me, felt my presence, and knew I was there. Do you remember what you said? What you called me? He swallows hard as his head lowers. Not so easy when someone turns the Inquisition around on you. The secret is safe with me. Always has been, Time Bender. Okay, should this be... we hyphenated it the first time. Should we be consistent in that reference? I'm just asking. She smiles and pats him on the shoulder. If I were going to give you up, I'd have done it then or on many other occasions presented. There was something about you. Got a little gap right there. About what you were and my knowledge of it that was valuable to me. Keeping it from the trust brought me, she shrugs, a sense of pleasure. Until that night, I had no idea your type still roamed the earth. Last of your kind? No, Deathwalker of Druids, he whispers. Imagine my shock hearing that. She smiles but sees him still attempting to process the information. But the appropriate reference is Druid who walks amongst the dead. She puts it in air quotes. Been a double agent for longer than those words have been around, though I crossed over to the dark side and went far beyond what was ever intended. Why tell me this now? Maybe it's because I've turned over a new leaf, and I want to make amends for all that I've caused, she says, unconvinced. You're not much of a maybe person. This is true, she responds through a chuckle. We had chuckling earlier. It's not... it's a long chapter, so it could be fine. I'm kind of wondering about her tone in this. I feel like her attitude or something could be implied through, like, what is her attitude about all this? I don't know what she's thinking throughout this conversation. Like, what are her thoughts? And she knows her history, and she's disclosing some of it through the dialogue. But I'm wondering how much does she want Garrett to know? Why would she have reservations about Garrett knowing anything? Like, some hints at some of that. I don't know. Those are just thoughts of things those are suggestions or musings that might help you come up with what to put there. And not here specifically, but throughout the dialogue, basically. We get her actions and we get what they say, but we don't know what they're thinking throughout this. I don't know how much Amanda wants to keep to herself. You don't even have to give it away. You could just have her musing that. I don't want him to know that, or I got to be careful what I say here, or something to that sort, and something that kind of gives you a sensation of what she's feeling. But you can also show what she's feeling through her actions, so you have choices. Anyway, we're going to keep going. Something more to it? A lot more, she returns, but with more meaning than intended. Garrett contemplates saying something, but sensing she will continue, he leaves it. I could spend years trying to explain, but right now, I'm running with revenge. Sam's facing near impossible odds, so using her is the best option until she's gone as far as she can, and the inevitable happens. The inevitable? Are your memories that short? She asks. Manipulating time has its cost. Garrett's admission stops Amanda's immediate answer. They meet eye to eye, the weight carried in those words, an admission understood by both. Amanda lowers her head and massages her leg. Okay, so I'm gathering, as we know, every manipulation of energy has a price. Like magic has a price. There's always a cost. So that makes sense that, if he uses his gift, that it would cost him something. And so it costs him his memories yeah. So that's what I'm getting. Um, I'm also kind of like wondering, what is Amanda's price? And I'm wondering, okay, so like she said what her name was. I'm just reader musings. I'm wondering what that entails. I'm wondering what have any of the incidents that I have read in the past couple chapters, I'm wondering if he's manipulated any of the time for any of those. And if it's told here, again, I've overlooked it and I apologize, but that's one of the things I'm wondering about. I'm like, okay, has he manipulated time in anything that I've read, and what did he manipulate? If he did, if it's possible, because now, I mean, it changes the way things are viewed. It's just so layered and interesting. Okay, and maybe he hasn't, and I'm just wondering that. Okay, anyway, we're gonna keep going. Yeah, so disturbing two masters, she mutters. I hold no loyalty to the trust, despise them and everything they are. I know you can't take me at my word on that, and you shouldn't. I don't know if she needs to shout that. I kind of didn't read it that way. But again, and that's partly because she was muttering, so I didn't think she'd be shouting. It just seems like she's just talking. You could give her an action and something to show her voice, to show her voice without saying her tone. Are you saying I can't trust you? Where they are concerned, yes. Their powers of persuasion and manipulation, been there, done that, always thought I would have a leg up on the next go around, only to fail miserably. They've been in power for so long as my recollection, and have decimated every attempt to dethrone by striking down even the hint of opposition in its infancy. To dethrone them? Okay, they've been in power for as long as my recollection, and have decimated every attempt to be dethroned, or to dethrone them, I'm not sure which, by striking down even the hint of opposition in its infancy. You're selling me impossible odds. Oh, the darn quote thing did it again. Not impossible, improbable. Garrett clears his throat, unsure if he should speak his mind. He meets Amanda's eyes and sees the urgency behind them. How is it you survived for so long? Garrett asks. I was valuable to them in ways. She stops, a full body shiver overtaking her. I kind of want overtaking her. Your chameleon-esque regenerative abilities? Garrett drops, trusting his instincts. Maybe he hints, suggests. Oh, suggests maybe? Let's just try it. Your chameleon-esque regenerative abilities? Garrett suggests, trusting his instincts. Then sees the expression on Amanda's face, hinting he's on the right track. I buried your genetics along with the identity of who I thought you to be at the time because I couldn't explain it. Can't dangle something like that before you and expect a blind eye to be turned. To keep it quiet, you had to study, know what would be looked for. Dead twice over was true, yet you bounced back, similar in appearance but different, adaptive to the environment. But the scars? He looks at her leg and face, which begs the question. Doesn't happen overnight. She chuckles in an attempt to hide the hurtful truth. I mean, we've got repetition on chuckles, but I think you know that. And we could give her something different. You know, how does she feel about it? It sounds like it's a hurtful truth, so she's not happy about it. She could shrug or just state it matter-of-factly. Sometimes when we kind of surrender to what the situation is, you know, just kind of like accept it, accept it for what it is. There's a tone we use, and our body language can belie that we've just kind of accepted it, like we wave a hand, it is what it is, she's just stating it, something to the sort. But anyway, those are just musings. That's not all of it. I can read. He gestures to her medical records. I understand selling to the eyes, watching. He drifts into silence, unsure how to ask his next question. It's obvious you still carry the pain, and even from your doctored results, you're not recuperating. Your concern is noted. What is different now from years past? Your guess is as good as mine. Yours is far more educated. I don't know. Is that what you want to hear? She fires in defense. Literal sore spot. I apologize. You've got enough on your plate. It did the little thing again. It's fine, not my leg, but that you would notice and be concerned. Something has changed. I don't understand it, and honestly, it worries me. I'm not accustomed, nor is it anything I should discuss with you because we aren't friends. We should be, but we can't. Not with what you need me to do. You'll figure it out. We were talking, Sam. We were talking, Sam. Okay, so this almost reads like she's talking to Sam, like Sam has entered the chat. And I don't think she has. I still think it's between Garrett and Amanda. So maybe we were talking about Sam instead of the comma. We were talking about Sam. She points to the drawings in an attempt to distract. Do you see what they have in common? He selects a few and points to them. Humanitarian, a rendering of a royal dressed woman feeding peasant children. The back. Okay. Suggestion, just or a thought I'm using. Humanitarian, period. He points to a rendering. Okay, he's pointing to that. They look at a rendering of a royal dressed woman feeding peasant children. This sounded like an incomplete thought, even though it was a continuance or a beginning. It might have been fine. I could just keep reading and see if it works out, but my mind started to think that it was an incomplete. It was reading incomplete, like it needed something in context. He selects a few and points to them. Humanitarian. They look at a rendering of a royal dressed woman feeding peasant children, the background indicative of the Reign of Terror. Healer. He points out another, depicting a woman bandaging a soldier during the U.S. Civil War. Self-sacrificing. He describes the largest one hanging over the well-made bed, a wounded warrior with an arrow through their chest, showing the signs of a long battle, yet still standing firm against the much larger and unharmed adversary as those behind retreat to safety. Love this paragraph. I love it. I love the visuals. I like the showing of their history. I'm assuming these are Sam that they're talking about. Let's just keep going. Amanda points to the one of the women feeding the children. She was ridiculed and beheaded for distributing food that belonged to the royal court, even though they had more than enough, and it was spoiling. She moves her hand to the battlefield healer, captured, raped, tortured until she took her own life. That one holds its significance, but I'm not 100% sure why. She turns to the wounded warrior. The outcome of that one is pretty obvious. Held the enemy off long enough for them to scatter into the nearby villages, where every man, woman, and child was later slaughtered for having given them refuge. The commonality is, yes, humanitarian and self-sacrificing in the name of honor and loyalty. Add in their justice. She gestures toward a lone gunman among the Native Americans in a depiction of a massacre. Yet also understand that they were all on the losing side. Not one of them ended in a victory. Okay, so they weren't pointing to they haven't been in these historic moments. I guess I got the wrong impression there. But at the same time, I love the visual, and I love how she points out how they all lost. It's all sacrifice and suffering and loss, even with good intention. So I'm getting that. Okay. Every battle has casualties, he says, and every war has a victor. Repeatedly throughout time, the trust has drawn those who threaten them into situations such as these before they come into their full power. Their defense of what is right and good in this world is not only their biggest strength, but also their biggest weakness. Garrett nods in agreement. You've been aware of this forever. Why now? What is different? Wish I had an answer. She breathes an awkward chuckle. Oh, no, we have more chuckling. Oops. Okay. It eludes me. Maybe I've been away from their influence longer than I have been in the past. Maybe it's that instant connection I made with Sam, her willingness to come to my aid even though she knew what I was. Oh, even when she knew what I was. Maybe the gods sneezed in the right direction and the stars aligned ever so perfectly, she jokes, then shifts suddenly. You're a member of the board, and yet you're working counter to their interests. Fill me in on what your gut is telling you. It's on the drive. You can draw your own conclusions. Indulge me. Digital documents are one thing. She moves her finger between them. This is different. Okay. I believe their interests have separated from their original charter. Bound to happen with an original organization that spans the globe. No oversight or rules, and self-funds through operations. All the power is in the hands of a few old men. Tisk, 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 she says, moving her finger from side to side. You should have known better. Hindsight is always 20/20. ICID's done a lot of good work in the past. Not disputing that. Someone's got to be the garbage man of the world, taking care of the crap no one knows about. He nods in agreement. The old guard is aging. New blood is coming in and can't keep up, Amanda offers. Are you referring to them or me? Huh, either, she pauses. You were a founding member. Yes. Others like you, other time benders, they'd have to be, she self answers. Because of the sensitivity around what we do and who we are, you never meet in person. Rarely. Even then, we usually send an emissary. Never put it all in one location where a power decapitation event could happen. Took that one right out of the trust handbook, did we? If they have a handbook, he chuckles. Oh, we chuckled again. But we have learned from some rough experiences. He nips on his drink. I would just go ahead and have him sip it. Yeah. He sips on his drink. Since we're sharing, of the founders, I'll be honest in that I believe 2, possibly 3, may still be alive. The others have handed down the knowledge to a successor. I don't know what names they go by, what titles they may possess, or how vast their particular networks are, so don't ask. Wasn't going to. Well, up front anyway, Amanda adds, smiling. What's your underlying fear where the board and ICID are concerned? That I'm being cut out, put out to pasture, if not retired permanently? I kind of want him to scoff in that and be like, they're putting me out to pasture, Anyway. Oh, know that place? Hard to confirm. Yes, I believe that there are untouchable individuals within ICID who are threatening to destroy everything we've achieved in the past few decades. That sentence is a mouthful. I'm not really sure why. It could just be me. It is a little bit long, but not horribly so. Yes, I believe that there are untouchable individuals within ICID who are threatening to destroy everything we've achieved in the past few decades. It's related to why I need your help. There we go. She wiggles her head from side to side. You implied team? I work alone. Trust issues, she iterates, implying the words dual meaning. I know, he chuckles. Oh, he chuckled again. I want people like you who have your skills, can do what you do, and keep it as quiet as you do. You want me to vet your network of do-gooders, she states. That's one way of putting it, yeah. With what goal in mind? You're considering it? Yeah. The goal would be to clean up ICID and bring its focus back to why it was created in the first place, to take down the trust. Pass, she states, and he's about to offer more. She holds up her hand. 2 points. I'm not your maid. Doing that exposes me. Eliminating the trust, that's a mountain you can't climb right now. Recommendation? Smaller goals. And if I go with your advice, he asks, a lot of little things that seem to make no sense but culminate? Seem to, I feel like words might be missing in this one. Okay. And if I go with your advice, he asks, you get a lot of little things that seem to make no sense but culminate. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to keep going. You'll do it? I'm a free agent who speaks and answers as an equal only to you. And until I'm comfortable, those conversations only occur in this apartment. Nothing written, nothing transmitted, and no phone calls. It's between you, me, and the plant life. Those are my terms. Your terms are accepted. He grins and shifts. So you have this place isolated in a bubble. Willing to share how you do it? No, maybe in time. She smiles, implying she's guilty as charged. Oh, she could almost cross her arms. I'll be a little smug about it, maybe. When I review the recordings and am approached by Steiner, am I going to be surprised by what we've been discussing for the last couple of rounds? He asks of the beers they have consumed. So, you know they don't cut communications even on your command? Yes, but I ensure they are redacted later. However, I know it is the trigger you use to switch from real time to your altered delayed feed. Amanda smiles, letting him know it's close to the truth. It'll be some ordinary run-of-the-mill bantering. Okay, she's letting him know that, but that kind of reads like it's his observation of her, which would put it in his point of view. So I'm questioning that a little bit. I still feel like we're with her, but I feel like every now and then it seems like he's looking at her and we're in his point of view, but I know we're with her. I'm gonna keep going. It'll be some ordinary run-of-the-mill bantering centered on the Coptic decryption with a smattering of your concern over my past. If they do a stress analysis, they'll detect deceit on both our parts. Its construction is rather organic, only diverting and altering what could be troublesome for us, according to an extensive set of rules. Yes, and not to point out the obvious, but Sam's my roommate. Amanda smirks. Given your recent inquest into my research with Dr. Abbott, our conversation will follow that path. You'll suggest nothing more than you already know, and I'll give you nothing more than you already have uncovered. So no surprises. Okay, so at first I kind of thought when Amanda and Sam were like it was revealed that they're roommates at this future point in time, I kind of thought they had chosen to be roommates and like whatever had happened in their past at whatever point in their lives they're at now that they had gone somewhere together and got a place. But I'm kind of musing, have they still not left the room when they put their two bodies side by side, or have they made a home out of this room? Or I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Are they still in the same room together? Are they still in the same facility and they're just staying there? I'm a little, why am I thinking that? I don't know. We're going to keep going. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Her computer opens a dialog box. The words appear unintelligible. Amanda glances at it, expecting it to be mundane notification, but her gaze shifts and she focuses in. Garrett catches her quandary over it and the length of which she is in thought. Mind if I ask what it is? I found something that bothers it. She takes a moment to debate on elaborating. Has to do with the chip you brought in. Could be a false positive. And if it's not, I'll take care of it, she says with confidence. You're going to have to start trusting me that there are things I know and will do that I cannot share with you. It's not because you can't handle the information. You've proven on many occasions that you can. But knowing too much at the wrong time is a death sentence. And not only for you, me, and Sam, but I can't believe I'm saying this. The world as we know it. Delusions of grandeur, he queries with a laugh. That's part of the conundrum of what I am and why we've been through this before. I shouldn't be trusted without exception, yet I demand it. Hold the phone. So when she says we've been through this before, I mean, like, I'm kind of wondering, is this like a Groundhog Day for them? And I'm kind of musing that in the background somewhere. Okay, we're gonna keep going. How about I return the gesture? Are you familiar with the rare book archive below the Central Library? Know of its existence, but haven't visited. Take some high-level credentials to get in there. Of which I am sure you can remedy. They have a set of codices that would interest you and Dr. Abbott. You can work that angle. I'll get notice of your inquiry and meet you there shortly after. Okay, so they do leave this room. Maybe they have gotten a place together. I think, okay, sounds exciting and all cloak and dagger, she says with a smile. Okay. Wait. All right, yeah, because he's telling her to meet him at another location. So they have moved because I kind of didn't feel like they had a choice to leave the place where they were in the last chapter. And I understand we're in the future now. So I just want to make sure that, yeah. So for a minute I was musing that they might still be in that same place, but now I feel like I was right thinking that they'd gotten their own place together. Okay. Like, I didn't feel like they were allowed to leave the place they were when they were in the past, where that place. I felt like they were kind of captives there, kind of, or being hidden there, you know? And so implying that she can leave the area to meet up with him makes it answers my musings. Notes. Thanks for reading. 6 through 25 are going to be coming in quick order. Slight touch-ups are needed. I'm retentive about what I share with the masses. I read a lot of messy stuff, and I don't want to be that dude, even though I'm not a dude. 26 thought what was the end. 42, most of those don't exist anymore. They've been pulled forward and incorporated to other chapters. Wow, you have done so much work pulling this all together. Oh my gosh. I'm so overwhelmed by the whole thing, and it just, wow. Huge undertaking. Huge. You are such a brave soul to like completely move things around. It used to terrify me to move things around and delete things, and oh my gosh. Scrivener makes me feel much better about it because I can kind of paste it off to the side and it'll still be there in case I change my mind and I'm like, I want it back. Anyway, oh my gosh. As usual, so much revealed. You fed in information and posed new questions. I'm just like, wow, okay. And I always feel like I've missed some things. I'm gonna give it a second read as I play this back and listen to it. But oh my gosh. Oh, and okay. I'm kind of curious about some internalizations from between Amanda and Garrett to kind of know what her feelings are towards him. It seems like she's willing to work with him, so that's kind of progress for the two of them. And I'm curious about, a little bit of, she's mentioned like some of the things they've done before. So I'm just curious. And I guess he doesn't remember because his time bending and losing his memory. So much to unpack here. So much. You get a lot done in a chapter. Okay. All right, guys. That's it for chapter 5 of Infinite Shades. And that's it for this episode of Mystery Red Reads. We'll see you next time.